3, 2, 1, clap. Ooh. Welcome back to another DWI Raw. Today we're watching how to beat the Meg. These guys I've been watching for bloody ages, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Make sure you've seen the film first, otherwise it just completely spoils all of it before. This one's with Jason Statham and like a prehistoric shark, like that, like it says there. Look. So let's get rid of this.
Get way more than you pay for when you
And
work
let's
out
watch
at
it.
Pure Gym.
If you were being hunted by the most dangerous ocean animal to ever live, what would you do?
A
This
megalodon.
50-ton
I've got a
apex predator
megalodon.
makes jaws look like a goldfish, and after 2 million years of waiting, it's ready to take back its spot at the top.
Can
of the
this
food
something
chain.
be like this?
I
Can
hope you
actually
packed a
be
brown
like-
bathing suit, because I'm
Nah,
gonna
that
break
can't
down
be
the
something
mistakes
like
made,
this.
what you should do, and how to beat the monster shark in The Meg.
Shut up, Meg.
This team of scientists is about to make the most horrifying discovery of their lives. Deep at the bottom of an ocean trench, this guy Jonas and his team of rescue divers climb aboard
Jonas
a
Statham,
destroyed
yeah?
submarine and split up in search of survivors. As Jonas carries the last guy out, something huge crashes into the side of the sub, knocking his team off their feet and circling back for another strike. This time it damages the hull, and water begins to flood in, threatening to drown them if they don't get out soon. Jonas makes it aboard with the survivor, but his teammates are still trapped inside.
He made
If
the
they
right
don't
call
go
here, I don't
now,
care.
Then they'll all end up dead. So he makes the difficult choice and closes the hatch, leaving his men behind.
Coming soon to a theater
Oh,
near you.
shut up.
How to plus both Evil Side X are available on screen. Join us. If you're
Yeah,
game.
join their thing. Join it.
The
Join it.
rescue vehicle speeds away, and just in time, because this particular sub was loaded with nuclear warheads and set off a massive explosion that unintentionally killed their attacker, a bloodthirsty monster of a shark, the Megalodon. Okay, rescuing a sub-crew stuck thousands of feet below the surface is a hair-raising job. And
Yeah, I wouldn't be
that's
able to do that.
before you find out that the ocean's most terrifying predator is lurking in the shadows. The
Yeah, they don't know
Megalodon
that.
is the largest shark to ever stalk our planet's waters, estimated to reach nearly 60 feet in length and weigh up to 50 tons, making the modern great white look like a minnow by comparison.
It's ridiculous
These
how
nightmares of
big
the
they
deep
are.
ate adult whales for breakfast, and probably
What about
wouldn't
lunch?
even notice if they swallowed
What
a
they have for
human
dinner?
being whole. They were nature's perfect hunting machines, equipped with a mouthful of over 250 razor-sharp
Mate,
teeth.
they would
that
need some
grew to
big old
7 inches
toothbrush.
long, and a bite force of nearly 40,000 pounds, the strongest in the entire animal
40
kingdom.
grand.
When it comes to disabled subs, there's a very limited window of time before the rescue mission becomes a recovery operation. You need to act quickly, but you also need to be sure that you know what you're getting into, since at those depths, any surprises could mean certain death.
Yeah,
And the
mate,
rescue
fuck going
team
underneath
needed
there,
to
bro. I
use
would not do
sonar
that. I
to
would
locate
not
the
do that.
wreckage. It's pretty hard to believe that the crew never mentioned being attacked by an actual sea monster, and even if that somehow wasn't brought up, the sonar scans should have definitely tipped the rescuers off. With
I mean,
the
it was
most
big enough, wasn't
advanced technology available at their disposal, a Goliath shark patrolling the area should have been pretty hard to miss, and they needed to come up with a plan to take it out before sending a rescue
that the shark
team
there? Did we
into
just
its
see the
path.
shark?
Here's the plan. Before the rescue crew makes their descent, first we'll need to send down an underwater drone, followed by a single-person deep-diving sub specially modified to carry guided torpedoes. Once the drone lures the shark to a safe distance from the wreckage, the sub can come along and blow the creature to bits, clearing a path for our rescue team to do their thing without interruption. Jonas may have made it out alive, but he lost the rest of the crew in the process, and soon he'll get another chance to even the score. 5
Nice.
years later, billionaire businessman Jack Morris takes a helicopter to
Oh,
his
he's played by
privately
Dwight.
owned
He's
deep-sea
Dwight plays him.
research station, where he meets
Nuts.
head scientist Dr. Zhang and his family. Along with Zhang's daughter Suyin, they take an elevator down to the underwater tunnels, and the owner is completely
Yeah, look, Dwight.
amazed. Suyin even attracted 2 humpback whales for the occasion, luring them in by playing whale songs. The station is an unbelievably scientific achievement, but in just a few hours, their research is about to turn deadly. Down in the control room, Zhang introduces him to the rest of the crew. There's Jax, the engineer, medical officer Dr. Heller, DJ the rover pilot, and
Hey.
Mac, the station chief. He's just in time to watch as a sub launches down towards the ocean floor,
Very diverse
preparing
group.
to make a discovery
Thumbs
that
up.
could change everything. Zhang believes that what seems to be at the bottom of the deepest part of the ocean is actually just a layer of freezing cold gas that could be hiding an entirely new world underneath. The
Yeah, I never
sub
understood
crew reaches
this.
the bottom and presses forward through the cloud, but that was their biggest mistake. They don't realize it yet, but they've just entered the hunting grounds of the most terrifying predator to ever exist. On the other side of the barrier, they find an entire ecosystem of creatures living around the deep sea vents.
It is nuts
The
though.
sub-crew
Look at that.
launches
Looks
their
so
rover,
good.
And DJ takes control as the vehicle scans the trench for species that have never been seen before. Just then, something huge appears on the sub's radar, and it's closing in on them fast. DJ turns up the lights to get a better look, but the rover is instantly taken by the creature and dragged away. It circles back around, and this time it slams into the sub, damaging
getting
the
eaten!
systems and leaving them stranded on the ocean floor with no communications back to base. Okay, these researchers never saw the Meg coming, but it definitely saw them, and that's the problem. Sunlight can't penetrate all the way down to the ocean floor, but that doesn't mean that it's completely dark down there. In fact, many species of underwater life use an adaptation called bioluminescence to create their own light through chemical reactions, which helps and hurts them in a variety of interesting ways.
Hurts
Some
them?
species, like the vampire squid, use glowing liquid to distract their predators and buy them a chance to escape, while others, like the famous angler fish, do the exact opposite, luring their prey to its death by
It looks
drawing it in with a
disgusting,
little ball
doesn't
of
it?
light that looks like it could be an easy meal to an unsuspecting scavenger. The scientists should have realized that venturing into the depths, while lit up like a Christmas tree, was guaranteed to attract the attention of any monsters that were lurking nearby.
There were
Instead of
loads
making
of monsters,
themselves
mate.
a big glowing target for every predator in the abyss, the team should have used this knowledge to come up with a safer plan. They could have dropped their deployable lights to illuminate the area before turning off the spotlights and switching over to a night vision display on the
Yeah, and viewing what goes towards the light.
making them much harder to see while still having the ability to observe their surroundings. It's not a foolproof plan, since
Still
sharks
better than just
primarily
jumping down
hunt
there
by
like a
hearing
disco
and
ball.
smell rather than by sight. But anything that they could do to make themselves harder to detect would be worth it. Once a giant, unidentified creature appears on the radar and demolishes the rover, that's your cue to cut the lights, blow the ballast tanks, and jet up to the surface before it's too late. Since this crew of geniuses decided to sit around and try to get a better look at the sea monster,
would you do something?
now
Would
they're
you do
stuck
something like
deeper
that?
than
I
any
don't know.
person has ever
I don't
gone
know.
before, with no chance but to sit
Would you
there
do
and
something?
wait for someone to do the
I am
impossible and
tired.
come to their rescue. Fortunately, they know just the
I'm not
going
gonna
to
contribute too much to these videos, by the way.
Based on his track record, there's no guarantee that they're all going to make it out alive. The surface team calls for an emergency meeting where Dr. Heller explains that he still has access to the crew's vital signs. They're all still alive, for now, but unfortunately, their options for a rescue plan are limited. The sub's ballast valves are jammed, which means that it can't rise to the surface by itself. And if they try to tow them out, there's a 50-50 chance that the tanks will explode, busting the capsule and killing them all. Connecting straight to the hatch won't work either, since it's too badly damaged. They're stuck more than 6 miles below the surface, and only one man has ever attempted a rescue at that depth and lived to tell the tale. But after what happened on his last mission, some of them don't want to call him in. It's a heated argument, but Zhang says that they have to consider all of their options, and the decision is made. Jonas is going to get his shot at redemption, but first, they'll have to track him down. Meanwhile, at a dockside bar in Thailand, the disgraced rescuer is drowning his sorrows away, one beer at a time, trying his best to forget the time he left his friends to drown, literally. After waking up from a quick power nap, he hops on his tiny motorcycle and drives back to his apartment, where he sees a helicopter parked across the street. Mac and Zhang are waiting for him inside, but he already knows what they're about to ask, and flatly explains that there's nothing they can say to get him back in the water. About 10 seconds later, they tell him
Sorry,
that
I'm
his
enjoying this.
ex-wife
I'm
Lori is
not
on
really
board
adding
the
much to
sub,
this, so
and
just sit
like
back,
that,
watch and enjoy. Do
Jonas
you know what I mean?
is out of retirement. Time is running out.
God damn it.
This guy Toshi starts writing a letter to
I
his
know
wife
this
in
actor.
case he doesn't make it, but that's
He's
when they
dope.
manage
He's
to
actually quite
restore
funny.
power to the computers and life support. Suddenly, Lori's face drops
She's
as she
gorgeous,
realizes the danger that they've put themselves in. She tries to shut off the lights, but it's too late, and
No.
an enormous creature rams into the sub, sending everyone flying. As if
dare,
things weren't
guys.
bad enough already, Lori gets up only to realize that she's just taken a sharp piece of metal to the kidney. With
You've
no
just been
chance to
shivved.
escape, they shut off the lights, stuck like canned sardines, unless one bald and burly hero can come to their rescue. The sub is leaking oxygen, leaving the crew with only a few hours to survive. So
Oh, no.
Soyeon decides that she's going to take her own vehicle to try and tow them out, putting her life
No,
on
just
the
wait
line
for
to
fucking
save the
Jonas
team.
Statham.
Soyeon boards her glider and
Jonas.
descends into the water, plummeting down past the tunnels and towards the depths below. Jonas and the others arrive at the station, and after a quick checkup with his old pal, Dr. Heller, he's cleared for action. The rescue is on. With his tools loaded onto the sub, Mission Control clears him for departure, but PTSD kicks in as he stares into the abyss like he can hear the dying cries of his fallen brothers.
That's
Just when
some
everyone starts
PTSD
to
right
get
there,
worried,
mate.
he launches towards the depths, manually diverting power to the motors for a more rapid descent. With rescue on the way, the chief tells Suyin to return to the surface, but she refuses to back out, pushing through the cloud and into the hunting grounds. She scans the trenched floor, eventually finding the stranded sub, which is when all hell breaks loose. Something huge flips her glider upside down, but this is no shark. Its tentacles wrap around the capsule,
Colossal
revealing
squid.
that she's actually being attacked by the submarine's greatest natural enemy, a colossal giant squid.
Colossal
Just when it looks
giant
like it's about
squid.
to crush the pod
So you got
and
giant
suck
squid,
Suyin out
colossal
like an
squid,
oyster,
gi-
the squid
colossal giant squid.
mysteriously lets go,
What about a
falling
giant
victim
colossal
to the real
giant
apex
squid?
predator, the Meg itself.
Oh, damn.
Suyin and the team on the surface realize that Jonas wasn't crazy after all. He breaches the cloud and tells Suyin to cut her lights, but the system is badly damaged and takes too long to be shut down. The shark circles back, about to finish her off until Jonas launches a bunch of flares, luring it away. With her glider damaged, she takes her only shot at escape and launches back to the surface, leaving Jonas to complete the mission alone. Hooking
Got
onto
this.
the hatch, he uses some tools to break his way in and starts to pull the others up to safety. Sure enough, the shark returns, and if
It's
it
the same
hits
thing.
the vehicles while they're still attached, everyone is going to die. That's when Toshi slips the letter into his friend's pocket before sealing the hatch, sacrificing himself.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that
I
the
forgot about
others
this
can
geezer
get
doing
away.
this, mate.
In an
What a
instant,
legend.
The Meg crushes him in its jaws, destroying one of the thermal vents in the process. But the chaos is only just getting started. Okay, is it just me, or are SpongeBob's neighbors looking a little rough these days? They may have saved 2 of the researchers, but they also lost a sub, a rover, and Toshi in the process.
Yeah, and
So it's
Toshi's
not
worth
exactly
a lot.
time to pop the champagne and celebrate a job well done. The Meg is the real apex predator here, but you have to be prepared for anything. And if there's one thing any deep-sea submission can count on, it's that sooner or later a giant squid is showing up to the party. You could have the engineers design a system that would create an electric field from outside of the sub, zapping the monster when it tried to grab you with its suckers. If that's not
Yeah.
exciting for you, then how about a giant remote-controlled chainsaw arm that you could deploy to cut the creature's arms off?
Aye, that would be-
Even
that would be-
simply
that would be
covering the
wicked.
sub and spikes could do the job. If you're going to do sci-fi stuff at the bottom of the ocean, then it only makes sense to create some
What film is
sci-fi
that?
weapons too. Now, when the creature attacked the rover and then the sub, we found out that it's attracted to sources of light, which gives us some important information to work with. You need to reduce the beast's ability to see you as much as possible. Several species of deep-sea fish have managed to turn themselves ultra-black, giving them the ability to absorb over 99% of the light that hits them, and making them all but completely invisible to both predators and prey. To
That's
create
sweet.
a similar effect, scientists created a coating of carbon nanotubes called Vantablack, which absorbs light so well that it can make a 3-dimensional object appear as a flat 2-dimensional form. Vantablack coating is also extremely hydrophobic, which could affect the operation of the sub, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I completely understand how it works.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
why the
understand it at all.
engineers get paid the big bucks. By designing the sub to absorb as much light as possible, this would make it much harder for any giant squids or megalodons to spot me cruising below the surface. And just might give me the advantage that I need to get the job done.
Yeah,
But
why is
you
the sub
might
like bright yellow?
also want to consider using the shark's attraction to light to your advantage. I'd want to arm
Yeah,
my
look,
sub
bright yellow.
with
Why?
deployable beacons that are rigged with high explosives. Then, as soon as it showed up, I'd speed away to a safe distance from the wreckage before launching the lights and waiting until
Fire
the shark
torpedo.
got close to detonate the charges.
Oh.
If you could take out the big threat, then the rest of the rescue should be a breeze, and you might even actually save everyone this time around.
Damn, that
Speaking
shot's
of
fired.
saving everyone, Toshi's sacrifice was very heroic, but also very stupid. This might seem like a crazy idea, but when a 60-foot-long shark is bearing down on you, maybe try climbing faster? Letting the wounded lady go first is nice and all, but there's no such thing as chivalry when you're 30,000 feet underwater. And you can bet that I would have pushed her out of the way to make sure that I was the first one up. Let them give me dirty looks all the way back to the surface. What do I care? I'm quitting this job as soon as we're on dry land anyway, now that they've made their escape. Jonas probably thinks he'll be back in Thailand in time for happy hour, but the truth is that the Meg has other plans.
Yep.
Back on the surface, the crew gathers in the meeting room to decide what to do next. Zhang wants to take it slow, because although their discovery could change the world, it came at the cost of their friend's life.
I agree.
Morris chimes in that while they sit around thinking about
Quite
what
true.
to do, the station is costing him millions of dollars, and they need to act fast before other scientists come along and take credit for their work. He's right, but Jonas isn't convinced, promising that the Meg will kill anyone who's dumb enough to go back down there. While the adults discuss the best way to turn a profit on the 50-ton killing machine, Mei Ying goes to play with her toys in the underwater
Oh, it
tunnels,
comes up and bites
she's
it.
about to realize that she isn't alone. As she wanders through an unfinished section, the Meg appears out of the shadows behind her, chomping the glass with its massive jaws. Upstairs, the adults can hear the crash and run to rescue the girl. She tells them there's a monster outside, and they turn around to see a massive bite mark in the glass. Mac approaches to get a better look as a huge creature bumps the window, but it's only the baby humpback. After a moment, they start to wonder what happened to the mom, and that's when the Meg returns, biting the whale in half before swimming out of sight.
That's
The team meets in the
raw.
control room, where they
DWI raw.
realize that the destruction of the thermal vent
my hair.
created a hole in the freezing barrier.
Yeah, it's okay.
Although the gap was only temporary, it was large enough for dozens of sharks to swim through. And there's a chance that this Meg isn't the only one that got out. Jonas says that they need to find the shark and kill it, but Suyin wants to take the monster alive. Just then,
How?
the station receives multiple distress calls from nearby ships. Determined to finish what they've started, the crew boards a research vessel.
It's
and
like
heads
Jaws
for
on
the source
steroids,
of the
really, isn't it?
beacons.
Wait.
What they find isn't pretty. The boats are
I've got-
completely
I've-
destroyed, with
I've got no
signs
muscle.
of survivors. Searching through the wreckage, they realize that the boats belonged to shark poachers who were killing the animals for their fins. Zhang comes up with a plan to use a shark cage to spear the Meg with a lethal amount of sedatives. But by the time
Do you
they
really
have
think
their
a shark
equipment ready,
cage is gonna
the shark
work?
will be long gone.
You might as
So
well just-
Morris chimes in that
you
they should
might
hit
as
it with
well
a
just
tracker.
be
It's a
in
good
there without a
idea,
cage.
with just
At
one
least you can swim
tiny
away.
problem. They'll have to get in close to hit their target, and since the Meg is dangerously hostile to boats, someone is going to have to swim for it. Since nobody wants to volunteer, Jonas puts on his wetsuit and gets
Obviously,
ready to
Jonas
come out of
Statham's doing
retirement
it.
for the second time in 24 hours. Okay, I know what you're thinking, and trust me, your ears do not deceive you. They really did just convince this guy to go for a swim with a megalodon. If it were
Yeah,
anyone
it's
but
Jonas
Jason
it's Jason
Statham, then
Jonas
you could
Statham, mate.
verbally guarantee that they would be shark food in the blink of an eye. He's either very brave or really stupid. But
Very
since
stupid.
I'm neither of those, I'd want to come up with a different solution. And
Let's
the
hear
way
it.
I see it, you've got a few pretty obvious options that don't involve taking a dip with a boat-eating behemoth. Since
Okay.
it's too dangerous to get the tracker onto the shark, what's stopping them from trying to get the device
eat it.
into the shark?
Yeah.
Just put the tracker in some bait and fling it out there and hope that the Meg comes along and swallows it whole. Sure, it'll probably either be dissolved by its stomach acid or crapped out eventually, but they only need about 20 minutes to get the shark cage ready, so that should be plenty of time. If it doesn't work, then they're only out one tracker, and nobody has to risk their life in the process. It could also be possible to skip the tracker and shark cage altogether and just cut right to the chase of taking it out. Here's what I'm thinking. Since we know that the shark will attack any boat that cruises by, They could load up one of the lifeboats with explosives and send it
Oh,
out
my
there as a
nose really
decoy.
hurts, mate.
The Meg chases
Ow.
the raft, you detonate the charges
Ow.
when it gets close, and
Oh.
boom, humans are back at the top of the food chain.
It stings.
If they went Meg hunting without packing any high explosives, well, you get what's coming to you at that point. Option 3
I don't know why
is
it hurts.
a bit less conventional, but still worth a shot. Where all else fails,
I know,
use
I'm a
a
weirdo.
meat shield. And lucky for us, we happen to have
It
a
really
greedy
stings.
billionaire on board who would be perfect for the job. Just tie him up with a rope, a full amount of sedatives to
I
his
sniffed some
chest,
curry powder,
and
don't do
push
it.
him overboard while you
Don't do
speed
it.
off into the sunset. Hopefully the shark would die from ingesting the chemicals. And
Oh,
since
shit.
it's essentially Morris's fault that the thing escaped in the first place,
Well, if you
you
could play in
can
the blame
kind of say
game,
that
yeah,
he
it's
deserved
definitely
it.
their fault.
Whatever solution you could come up with. Jumping in the water with nothing but a spear gun and plot armor wouldn't be my first choice, but that's exactly what Jonas is about to do. With the team looking on, he dives from the boat and swims out to meet the shark on its home turf, needing to get within 100 feet before he can take the shot. The beast descends below the surface, and Jonas pulls on his goggles to look around, but he can't see anything in the eerie darkness. It could
Eerie
be
darkness.
anywhere, and sure enough, the monster fish circles in closer, bringing itself within spear range. Jonas takes aim and fires his rifle, striking the shark with a clean hit.
Sure.
He's managed to
Hit
do his
marker.
part, but now he'll have to get back to the boat.
Yeah.
The crew starts to tow him back in, but the vibrations quickly attract the Meg's attention. And suddenly, Suyin isn't the only one who thinks Jonas looks like a whole snack. Tossing his
Damn.
weapon, he swims for his life in a race that he has no chance to win. The boat hurtling forwards and pulling him through the water just out of the monster's reach.
Fuck
Suddenly,
me.
it dives below the surface, only to blast back up and leap out of the water for one last chomp as Jonas is pulled to safety. They congratulate him on making it back alive, but the battle is far from over. With the
that
tracker
Small Willy?
online, Zhang and the doctor prepare the sedatives for phase 2 of their plan, while Jonas inspects the cave.
I think that's about
This
average
time,
size, to be honest.
Suyin volunteers to do
You know,
the deed, since he's
I mean,
an expert on shark anatomy and knows exactly
average?
where to strike. Putting on her equipment, she arms herself with the spear and plunges in.
Why
The
you
crew
get- it's a
chums the
megalodon,
water,
mate. There's no
attracting
way
a
you're gonna be able
swarm
to
of
survive that
terrifying
fucking-
sharks that surround the cage.
It's
But
stupid.
suddenly, they all disappear. Their radar shows the shark approaching, and it takes her by surprise, slamming into the cage from below. She watches as the massive beast circles around, but it retreats when she shines the laser in its eye, only
Oh,
to
right.
double back and grab the whole cage in its mouth, taking Suyin and the entire boat for an unexpected ride. The winch
Stupid, mate, they're
strains and
stupid.
collapses, narrowly missing 2 of the crew, while underwater Suyin takes aim, nailing the shark right in the soft tissue of its mouth.
Nice.
The poison is in. Circling around, it grabs the cage from the bottom, looking like it's about to swallow the entire thing with Suyin still inside. Jonas quickly puts on his gear, diving into the water and following the cable straight down towards them. Before he can get close, the Meg swims away, rotating the crane and sending Jax tumbling over.
Oh, Jax. No, not Jax.
Switch to Vodafone. Reliable broadband without the price tag.
Overboard. Feeling her hit the water, the shark releases the cage and turns towards the boat, causing Suyin to fall and crack her mask on the metal grate. Morris
Oh,
lowers
no.
in a rope ladder, pulling Jax to safety an
Nice
instant
one.
before she almost became shark food. Suyin passes out from a lack of oxygen as the crane falls into the water, about to drag her down to her death until Jonas pulls her out just in time.
Yep,
Meanwhile,
what a
the
superstar.
crew uses the second crane to create a giant cable lasso, luring the shark with some bait. The plan works, stopping the shark just feet from Jonas and Suyin.
Hey, that's
although one
some
of the
big brain
researchers
energy.
is knocked overboard in the process.
Is he gonna
Furious,
die?
The shark chomps at them with its last burst of energy, before finally coming to a stop and dying from the poison. Okay, this
That's
guy
some
really
mad
just went
shit.
for a swim with the Meg twice in the span of half an hour and lived to tell the tale. What a Chad. The thing is, his plan only worked by dumb luck. If the crane hadn't snapped and pulled the cage away, then he was basically just serving himself up to the Meg as
Plot
a
armor.
2-for-1 combo meal. Once the shark started trying to swallow the cage whole, the way I
Plot
see
armor.
it, you've got 3 options. The most obvious and least dangerous to your own life is to just release the cable and let it take her, which I'm perfectly okay with, even though it's definitely not the most heroic outcome. Looking at it from a purely practical standpoint, the poison was in, which means that the Meg was going to die either way. Suyin knew the risks when she got in the cage, so I'm in no way obligated to put my life on the line to get her out of harm's way.
But he loves
This
her.
would leave poor little Mai Ying without a mom, but she could always go live with her dad and that Pilates instructor that he ran off with in Taipei, and at least she'll know that her mom died a hero. She's got 2 parents, but I only have 1 life, so you do the math. Option 2 would be to do what Jonas did and just dive in the water. Swim
Dive
right
right
at the
in.
Meg and hope that it all works out for the best, which I'm definitely not going for. So that leaves us with our third plan, and again, I'm thinking that this would be a great time to use one of the lifeboats as a distraction. We saw that the shark was drawn away when Jax fell in the water, and then lured into the trap by the bait that the crew threw in. So there's a very good chance that getting it to chase one of the boats would have worked. Tie some chum to the back, jam the throttle, and send one of those rafts hurtling out to sea. And hopefully, the Meg would be attracted by the movement and scent of the bait and swim off to die somewhere far away, leaving you free
Good point,
and
actually.
free to take your time to get Suyin back out. Their plan worked, and this Meg is dead. But they're about to find out that there are still other fish in the sea. Later that
Good one.
day, Suyin wakes up in bed and thanks
Good
Jonas
one.
for saving her life a second time. Back outside, the crew has the Meg hung up with a cable, and this researcher leans in for a picture. It's all fun and games until the cable gives, scaring the man and sending him backwards into the water. They have a good laugh until Jonas realizes that the teeth on this shark don't match up with the bite marks on the tunnel back at the research station. But it's too late, and a shark 5 times larger than the one they caught bursts out of the darkness, swallowing
Literally
the man
just-
whole before belly flopping directly on top of them. The boat
What?
capsizes, sending everyone flying into the water, and one by one they
That's a
scramble
big
for the
fish,
safety
mate.
of the upturned hull. Realizing that it's time to call in the big guns, Morris takes out his satellite phone and tells a team of mercenaries to track his location. Jonas pulls Zhang to safety, alive but seriously injured, while Jax and Dr. Heller scramble
No,
to get out
Jax.
of the water. With the shark closing in, the doctor realizes that they can't both make it and decides to sacrifice himself so that she can escape. His plan works, and the shark swallows him in one bite,
fair play
leaving
to
a
you,
bloody
brother.
trail in its wake as the engineer joins the rest of the survivors. They hop on the lifeboats and try to speed away, but 10 miles from the wreck, the shark still won't give up the chase. That's when a military helicopter circles overhead, hitting the shark with a tracking dart before scaring it off with a burst from a rifle. They're
Nice.
almost home free, but sadly, it's too late for Zhang, and he dies in his
No.
daughter's arms, just a few minutes from safety. Now the man who started it all has joined the others that were lost. Finally, the crew arrives at the safety of the research station, and Suyin gives her daughter a big hug, leading her away to
So
tell
they
her
still
the
want to
bad
catch this
news.
thing alive then,
In a
or?
meeting with the remaining crew, Morris tells everyone that he's informed the authorities about the Meg, and the Chinese government is sending 2 battleships to take it out. The issue is
Battleships?
out of their hands, and he'll be closing the station until the shark is killed, with a ship arriving to evacuate the team in the morning. With the researchers satisfied for now, he sneaks above deck and boards a chopper, but as you might expect from a billionaire, he hasn't been 100% honest about his intentions. His ride out came with a special present, several bundles of high explosives rigged to act as depth charges. Since he can't afford to deal with the fallout from the Meg's rampage, he plans to hunt the shark down and take it out himself. Boarding a tactical boat, he and a team of mercenaries
play,
follow
mate.
the chopper until it obtains a visual on the Meg swimming just below the surface. With their target acquired, they drop the charges, blowing the creature into smelly chunks. Pulling alongside the corpse, Morris sends one of his henchmen to collect the creature's teeth and watches as a swarm of sharks come to feed. Suddenly, they all disappear, and the guy returns with the news that the creature doesn't have any teeth at all. Realizing that they've accidentally
Squid.
killed a whale,
Whale, yeah,
Morris
yeah, whale.
shouts for his crew to get them out of there, and they instantly slam on the throttle, only to send him spilling out of the back, leaving without noticing that their boss just went for a swim. He sees the Meg approaching and swims for safety, the beast chomping into the whale just a few feet away. Thinking that he's just escaped death, Morris pulls himself onto the carcass. But that's when the Meg returns, exploding from the water and claiming
Oh,
him
right,
as a
but
side
why did
dish.
Dwight have to die, man?
Okay, talk about a horrible boss. I think we all saw this coming, And after all of the trouble he's caused, and innocent employees who've literally died so he can follow his dream,
I just see Dwight in
can't
him.
say I'm sad to see this guy go. He may be dead,
I am,
but
it's
the rest
Dwight.
of the crew still has to clean up his mistakes. And I think it's safe to say, Morris, you f***ed up.
Yeah,
Let's
he
start at
did.
the beginning. When you decided to take your enormous wealth and dump it into a deep-sea research station, instead of doing something productive like feeding the needy or launching a $250,000 sports car into space. Haven't you ever seen Jurassic Park, you idiot? You've gotta know that as soon as a greedy businessman and naive scientists get together, what always follows is untold bloodshed. How many times do we have to go sticking our noses where they don't belong before we come to terms with the fact that some things are better left in the past, especially when it comes to prehistoric monsters of the deep? As if erupting a hydrothermal vent and opening up a portal to the abyss for 60-foot-long apex predators to swim right on through wasn't bad enough, you decided to lie to your employees, leaving them stranded at sea before hopping in your helicopter and taking matters into your own hands.
Yeah, okay, he's a
in
bit of
an
a dick
attempt
move.
to avoid a well-deserved
Fair play.
public relations disaster. What a classic billionaire move. Screw everything up for the rest of us and then come with the excuses and try to cover up your involvement. You made it pretty easy to root for the bloodthirsty killing machine on this one.
Alright, you've made your
All
point. I
enjoyed
agree. I
watching
think
you
he's
see
right. I think
your just
How to
desserts.
Beat's right.
In the morning, Mac rage throws his notebook when he realizes that Morris
I'm
lied to
tired.
them, never contacting the government to warn them since he wanted to keep the incident out of the public eye. Realizing that they need to act quickly before more innocent people are killed, Jonas rallies the team to take matters into their own hands, instructing Jax to hack into the tracker and locate the shark, while he and the others load up the evacuation ship for battle. Using the GPS, they figure out that the Meg is heading straight for Sanya Bay, home to some of the most crowded public beaches east of New Jersey. Mac tries to warn the local authorities, but they don't believe his story about a prehistoric shark stalking the waters, meaning that they'll have to put a stop to its rampage themselves. The plan is simple: lure the Meg to a shallow area near an island off the coast using whale songs, and shoot it with an improvised torpedo. They climb into their subs, and there's not a moment to wait.
Why is it yellow?
Because the shark has just arrived at Sanya Bay, and it's about to turn this tourist trap into a meat grinder.
Just a normal trap.
Okay, it's time for the final showdown, and
Yep.
it would have been really nice to get some backup. I've gotta ask, what was Mac thinking, telling the government that a prehistoric shark was on the loose? They're obviously not going to believe that, and it would have been a much better bet just to say that a huge group of regular old sharks
Good
was
point.
on its way instead. This way, the beaches would be evacuated, and the military could just figure out the real truth
I'll know
as
that
it
for next
went
time.
along. With any backup from the authorities out of the question thanks to Mac's bad leadership, the plan to play whale songs actually gives me an idea for how we might be able to get some less conventional reinforcements. Hear me out.
What?
You've heard the expression that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, in this case, the shark is our enemy. So the next logical question is, what is the enemy of sharks? And lucky
Dolphins.
for us, there actually is an animal out there that even great whites are afraid of. Orcas, aka
Orcas.
the killer whale. They didn't get that name by accident, and in fact, one pair of male orcas living off the coast of South Africa actually became famous for killing an unbelievable 17 sharks in one day. That's exactly the kind of killer instinct that we need if we're going to take down the Meg. Now, as badass as they are, unfortunately, one or two orcas probably still isn't going to be much of a match for the Meg. But the good news is, these bad boys hunt in packs, or pods if you want to be scientifically correct.
Pods.
Typically, a pod of orcas can consist of anywhere from 5 to 30 whales, and on occasion, these pods will even combine to form groups of more than 100. As the numbers go up, the odds of the shark winning the battle go way
100
down,
orcas versus
and
a
with enough
megalodon.
whales on the scene, even the Meg wouldn't stand a chance. It's a long shot, but instead of playing humpback whale songs to lure the Meg in, I'd play orca songs to hopefully attract a pod of those beasts to the scene. Watching a gang of orcas fight the Meg would have been one epic battle, but
Yeah,
it
I
looks
agree.
like Jonas is going to do what he does best and rely on dumb luck to get him by. The beach and water are crowded with swimmers, but they're all too busy having fun in the sun to realize that a prehistoric killing machine is circling them in. Swimming
But you would
underneath a
see
floating
that.
platform, it tangles itself in the chain and knocks off the tracking device, dragging these girls through the water as everyone starts to notice that something is horribly wrong.
Something's
A woman
definitely
yells,
wrong.
"Shark!"
I'm not waiting 18 minutes, mate. Sorry, buddy.
Investigation into
Where's
your
my
connection with
thing?
the death of
Right,
one
you
of
go
our
to
wives.
here.
didn't do
You click
anything
the
wrong.
eye. Ad center. Don't always do this. Lock ad. Bob's your uncle.
Sending everyone scrambling for safety, but it's too late, and the Meg starts to pick them off by the dozen. Just as it's about to attack this group of swimmers, the crew drops a speaker playing whale songs into the water, and it turns to swim towards the source of the noise, where Jonas and Suyin are lying in wait aboard their heavily armed gliders. The shark appears from nowhere, nearly blindsiding Suyin, but she maneuvers just away in time. Jonas arms his torpedo, but he can't take the shot since the Meg is so close to their ship, and it turns around, chasing him through the reef. He dives into a
Reverse
tunnel
Uno.
system, narrowly avoiding the monster's jaws, but damaging his sub in the process.
Oh,
As
no.
he exits the reef, he circles back towards Suyin, using the boat's propeller to buy him space so that she can line up her shot. She
Nice.
fires the torpedo, setting off an explosion so big that nearby news helicopters come to take a look, but it's a miss, and the Meg is still on the attack. This
What?
time, Suyin lures the shark Jonas's way, but when he tries to fire, he realizes that his torpedo is jammed. The Meg chases him under the boat as the two distracted helicopters slam into each other, one crashing down
How
on the
fucking-
ship, causing
how
everyone
stupid
aboard
are
to
you?
leap into the water for safety. With the crew in danger, Jonas leads the Meg away from the ship further out into open water. Out of options and artillery, he has one last idea and races straight towards the beast, faking up before pulling back down and using the damaged wing of his glider to slice open the monster's stomach from below. It's a
That's
devastating blow,
crazy.
but not enough to stop it, and the sub is out of juice, leaving him stranded as the Meg circles around and takes the glider in its jaws. Its teeth puncture the bubble, and Jonas kicks his way out just in time, hooking himself onto its side with his diving knife and driving a sharp piece of metal
Into his
straight
eye.
into its eyeball.
Yeah.
Now it's time for nature to take its course, and a swarm of sharks arrives to finish the job,
Go
tearing
on.
the Meg apart just as Suyin comes to the rescue. The remaining crew are rescued by a passing yacht, where they all sit down for a cup of coffee and toast to surviving.
I'd
the
rather a cup of
insanity.
tea.
It's
British,
over,
and I.
and after a hard-fought battle, Jonas finally gets his chance to retire. That is, until the Meg returns.
Wait, what?
What would you do if a genetically engineered, prehistoric, giant, mutated shark was swimming after you?
Why is it
Would you
mutated?
make like a school of fish and swim away with the rest of the scared people? Or would
Probably.
you pull a Jason Statham and punch that shark right in the face?
Jason Statham,
Let us know in
100%.
the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching.
You're
And
welcome,
make sure
mate.
to check out the How to Beat playlist for more
I've
videos
seen
just
most
like
of it, to be
this.
honest, brother.
This is a reminder that we also upload new videos.
Right. DWI Raw. Thanks for watching.